yes, we are learning, but we don't learn how to learn. And there is this new thing that I think we should understand when we begin this type of journey, is that learning is not theoretical. It's not about trying to figure out everything up front and say, oh yeah, I have my vision and I have my goals. No, it's actually learning by doing, but also it means to succeed, you have to learn how to fail. And that's a big thing for me. So my name is Angélique. I'm 29 and I am French, but from Reunion Island, which is a tiny island next to Madagascar and Mauritius, but is a French department. So this is where I am from.
And you mentioned that you started this digital nomad solopreneur journey about 8 to 12 months ago.
Yes, exactly. So
can you share your journey that led you to what you're doing now, but also what led you to coming to Bali?
Okay, so I came to Bali for personal reason. My partner is here, but then my journey it's a long journey because I have been working for the French consulate in Hong Kong at the research department. So it's really the most traditional field that you can find. But I always have this, this driver of like exploration. And exploration means for me like traveling, but not only. It's the possibility to live in different countries. And so far, I live in 6 different countries and did 2 solo backpacking trip. But, I wanted to stay in Asia after my contract. And it's just happened that it's difficult to stay. Either way, you have to compromise your field, which means that I would have not been like focusing in international relations, but more toward business. Or if I wanted to go to Taiwan, it would have been like compromising my salary because it's really low salary there. So at some point, I felt that there's a change that I have to make, and it's now or never. And for me, this journey is about also like building something, like building a career, building a profession that it comes with you in your backpack, in your small laptop, wherever you go, instead of like compromising. Yeah.
How long were you in that very traditional research profession?
I think for 4 years.
And when you left it, how did you navigate the self-doubt, uncertainty, of fear after being something for 4 years?
Yes, it's such a difficult question. It's because it's not like I've built something like on the side. It's like a hustle and I knew already some skills. It was like completely new for me and a lot of self-doubt. But to be honest, I took a career break and it was also hard to take it because at this age, all your friends are already like taking another job and building up. But I did that and I did a lot of like self-development. It's everyday journaling, meditation, therapist, life coach. So yeah, this is how I navigate self-doubt and fears and on a daily basis.
Was there anyone that you had in your life that helped with that transition?
My partner was, my partner was here for me. Yes. And then of course I wanted, to get to know those people, digital nomads, if you want to call them like that, because you have different solopreneurs. And I came to be work here in Bali. And it's always like how people can be so nice. So basically I was in front of the door, I was talking to one of my friends, and someone came and he was French and he said, hey, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm trying to figure out my next path. I was vulnerable and I was able to show my vulnerability. And he said, hey, you know what? I know someone who might be actually can help you a lot. And she's a ghostwriter and I've met a ghostwriter on LinkedIn. She explained me her journey and I was like, okay, I have to give it a try. So this is what I'm doing for already 5 months.
What is something that you valued 5 years ago that you either no longer value at all or much less?
So I didn't want to admit it, but social status was a lot. So it doesn't mean for me money, but it was social status. Particularly when you come from like an immigrant family, it's like you have to climb the social scale, and my grandfather, he came to La Réunion and he was nothing. He had to build up everything. And so I was, you always think about how to climb the social scale to make your family proud, to meet the expectations, while trying to meet your own expectations. So, yeah, now I think I don't have that anymore. It's more about freedom, my own happiness.
How did you make that transition? And do you know when you made that transition?
Yeah, it was when I took my career break, and so it was last July, and I just asked myself really hard questions. I tried to project myself who I wanted to be, let's say in 5 years and 10 years time. Also, not only, so that one thing that I learned is not about, only the career and what are you doing professionally, is like the lifestyle that you want as a woman, but also maybe a potential mom. Also taking into consideration, when you come from La Réunion, you know that you're not going back there because it's too small. So how are you going to see your family? I know a lot of people that go back to La Réunion when they are 35 and they have to give up everything, but they choose family over career, and I didn't want that. So I hope in the future, to spend 1 month in La Réunion while working there, and that will be the best that I can give to my family. Yeah, so that's also a driver. So
Is that a hard compromise to make? To know that you seem like you never want to settle back in where you grew up, but you want to travel and then maybe go there to visit for a month?
Yeah.
Is that hard to accept?
No, actually, I knew since I was 14 that it wasn't for me to go back. So no, it's not hard. Actually, it's a good compromise. It's, yes, to have like 1 month in La Réunion, and it's not hard. I knew it. It's the best deal that I can find here.
Yeah. Looking back on the last 8 to 12 months of going into this solopreneurship digital nomad journey, what do you think has been the most valuable skills that has helped you?
So for me, is the skill of learning, because I think when we go to school, we think that we learn. Yes, we are learning, but we don't learn how to learn. And there is this new thing that I think we should understand when we begin this type of journey, is that learning is not theoretical. It's not about trying to figure out everything up front and say, oh yeah, I have my vision and I have my goals. No, it's actually learning by doing, but also it means to succeed, you have to learn how to fail. And that's a big thing for me.
What have been some of the biggest failures that have helped you in the long term but felt really crap in the short term?
Like, you mean since I began this journey, yeah?
Or it could be before as well.
For me, it's hard, for example, at this point to write posts that convert. And what I'm learning is that actually it comes from my own mindset of how I put myself in this business. Because when you begin a solopreneur, there is everything to learn about social selling, how to have a business, and we might not all be given this type of skill. So yeah, so I always see also like failure as a lesson and not like a failure for itself.
What are some emerging trends or technologies that you're particularly excited about?
I think everything. I don't have any particularly tool, anything that will help me to automate. I'm really happy. I'm not really scared about the AI. I think we just need to learn how to use it properly. Yeah.
How do you balance creativity and also innovation with the practical demands of running a business or running your business?
So for me, it's my morning is untouchable. I don't want to see anyone. I prefer to be in my room, in my office. Yes, it's really important. I think this is how you really keep time for creativity, and also to, give this space for your own voice, because then you go outside and you have so many creators you want, maybe, you get inspiration from and influence you, which is nice, but you also have to give time for your own inner voice. This is how you make yourself different, I think. And then, in the afternoon, everything that comes, I will handle it.
So what is I'm not going to say you're typical, but what is the ideal day? If you could plan a perfect day for yourself, and what would that look like? Just say it's a work day, not a weekend.
Yeah. So one thing I want to share about that, because I tried so hard to imagine my ideal day, and I was aiming for a specific routine that I can repeat every day. And to be honest, so I don't know yet how it's going to work, but I am thinking about a different approach. It's about more, what do you want to do in your day? And mostly that putting from 7 to 8, I need to do that. And from 7 to 8 p.m., I want to do that. No, it's more about, okay, what do you want to do in this day? So for me, I want to have a session of sport. I want still to have like a morning routine for myself. But for example, when it comes from this for my activity, I really want it to be flexible because I play different activities. And this is also something that it's a gift that we have to have the freedom of our time. So if you take paddle, for example, I cannot choose really when I want to do because I play with my friends. So it can be from 4 to 5, but that's fine. And maybe if I do dance, it will be from 1 to 2. But then after, I will make sure that I have like 2 to 3 hours of deep work. And in the morning also deep work. So, like keeping the flexibility of your day that doesn't every day looks the same, but you still remember the main points of what you want to achieve on a daily basis.
We'll get back to the podcast in 1 minute, but I just wanted to let you know the sponsor of this week's episode, which is me. So I've got a free 5-day email course that will help anyone with a 9 to 5 or a beginner solopreneur start and scale their business to $1,000 per month. So you can find a link in the description in this podcast episode. Click on it. It's free to sign up. You'll get 5 emails from me teaching you and walking you through how to start your one-person business and make your first $1,000 per month recurring. So I'll see you there, and thank you for listening to this episode. What advice would you give for someone just starting out on their solopreneurship / digital nomad journey?
For me, what I realize is not about the hard skills, it's about your mindset. And I think it's really like your mindset is your enemy. So take time to work on it.
Can you share a project or initiative you're currently working on that you're particularly passionate about, and what impact do you hope it will have?
To be honest, I think I am really excited about everything, and I am on this learning curve, and excited about everything.
One question I wanted to go back to was, how do you think you can incorporate what you learned in your previous career and in your previous life into what you're doing now?
For me, it's actually a hard question because I thought I have to erase this like 5 years of what I built. But I do think I can integrate a lot of like my research skills. And I learned also how to work by myself. So that's something that also helped me, how to manage your time, your mindset. So that's good. I think one of the things, and also because I have expertise on China, I think it's something that I also can emphasize in my next, in front of my clients, because I do have like the expertise on Asia, let's say.
What advice would you give to your 21-year-old self?
The path is never straight, and it's better to surf the waves than to take the waves in your face.
That's a good analogy. What I wanted to go into is you mentioned previously that you've lived in 6 countries.
Yes, I did.
You've lived in 6 countries over X number of years in your teens and in your 20s.
Yeah.
Firstly, what inspired you to move to Bali and make this your home? And how has this experience of living and working as an expat influenced your perspective?
So first of all, Bali, as I mentioned before, it was for a personal reason. So the question is more for me, why did I choose to stay in Bali? And to be honest, of course, we have this beautiful nature, but I had the same for my island. So it's not something that is like surprising nice for me. Of course, I'm happy. For me, it's really the people, the international community that you can find. There's not only people like from different countries, but also people who really build their life on their own way. And that's something I was really surprised. Not only digital nomads, but people who move in Bali and actually begin something completely different. I've met people who was like poker players at high level, and they just decided to open a gym, and they're doing really well. They changed, but they're like really hardworking. Yeah, I think people here has they don't have this limited mindset, most of them, and this is what I like. And also it's not only about work, it's also like we're just like striving for this like life and work balance, but on their own way, you know? So that's what I like.
Could you give an overview of the different countries you lived in and also what age you were when you lived in them?
Oh la la. I'm so old, except like going back. So I always then, choose my studies and the work that allow me to travel and to live in different countries. So when I chose to do political science, international relations, I had in this school 1 year abroad. So I live in Nanjing in China. Then I took, a master gap year. So I did live actually in Czech Republic when I was maybe around my 23. Also live in Germany for another internship. And then London for a year for my master degree. And then I moved to Hong Kong for my contract at the consulate. Yeah. I didn't forget any country between, I guess.
Yeah. And then now it's obviously Indonesia.
Yeah,
Bali. Well, living across all those countries, how do you think that's impacted your sense of identity and belonging?
Oh, can I ask question also? Okay. Because when I was thinking about this question that you put all together, belonging, identity, and connection, but how would you make the difference, and why do you think it's so all connected, the belonging, the identity? So what is your view about?
Well, for me, those three things, people have very varying levels of different definitions for them. So some people can talk about identity and belonging interchangeably and then use the sense of connection as a different word. So for me, I'm actually trying to figure this out myself. There three different questions, or are they three of the same words that people use to describe the same thing?
Okay, really interesting.
So for me, it's like I feel like you have to have a sense of identity in order to have belonging and connection.
Okay.
So I derive belonging and connection from ultimately first a sense of identity.
Okay.
But some other people might say, actually, no, you need to have connection first, then you derive your identity from that connection.
Okay, and what for you do you mean by belonging?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. With belonging, I think for me, I've kind of felt for a very long time, being born in Singapore and then growing up in Australia, that it was hard for me to belong in other place. So I was often too Asian to be considered Australian, and then too Australian to be considered Asian. So while I had these different identities and these different connections to these two places, I never felt like I belonged particularly to one place.
Okay. Because now I understand better, because I've never actually think that I belong to any place. I never approached my identity with this concept of belonging. So I was reflecting on it, like, what does it mean to belong to? But to be honest, when I look back, I think when I was really young, when I was maybe 18, because I moved out from Reunion Island when I was 17, actually, so really young, to France mainland, I thought that I would begin this journey of kind of traveling and living different countries, and that somehow after this journey I will find a place. Like I will finally say, that's my place, that's where I belong to, that's my people, my house, my neighborhoods, like my neighbors, like, yes, I am here, and this is where maybe I want to have a family, But now that I'm 29, reaching my 30s, and I still don't have this desire, I didn't find my place. And so for me, belonging is not about a place, it's more about people, but not about somehow a community that exists and you want to belong to, but it's just the community that you create for yourself and just the people that you loved. And my people, they are everywhere.
Do you think you create or find your identity?
I think it's, if I have to choose, I would say create, of course. But there is also this this inner work that you have to do about finding kind of like. So I think first of all, like we talk about it already a little bit, but the identity is not like just a state of being. It's something that is like always evolving. So I think when you question yourself, like, oh, who I am, I think it's more like you are trying to aim to identify what is this point of convergence of who you are and who you want to create. And it's really here that you operate this intersection. It's really important to understand that for me. I mean, that's my takeaway. That's my own opinion, but it's really important to have this in mind, because then you have this work that you have to do, and it's like really hard work that I did during my career break. You have to ask you the questions and the difficult ones. You have to go back maybe in your childhood, what happened, what was your aspiration when you were young, but a lot. And because I did some studies in sociology, we have been conditioned a lot by society, but by our parents' expectations, and we need to be aware of that, just to create self-awareness. And that is like asking you questions. That's all. Trying to answer. It's okay if you don't find the right answer, because maybe there is no right answer. It's an answer, and then you keep moving. And then you have this other path that is like really to try to understand who you want to be. And that's the most creative part. It's like, who do you want to create, and to allow yourself really like not to have boundaries, but also like really to take this time, particularly when we are creators, we have so many inspirational figures that we have in mind, but it's really important just to silence the other voices to hear yours. So that's really important for me. And it's a lot about inner work also. I would rather, when I came to Bali and I did all this journey about figuring out who I was and actually who I want to create, I didn't want to travel that much, like maybe the opposite of you. I just wanted to do like this inner introspection.
What's a question that you've asked yourself that you found particularly powerful?
Yes, I have one. It's about, imagine you're on your gravestone. It's called death meditation, and you have the people that you love. What do you want those people that you love and care say about you?
When did you ask yourself that question?
That was, I think, maybe during my career break. So I think it was last November. So 1 year ago, I guess.
Is there any message you'd like to leave with the audience?
So I think it's important to know that doing things for yourself, it's a way to make yourself happy. And happiness is a feeling that only you can feel. It's not about others that can judge your happiness. So it's really important to understand that just do it for yourself and don't be afraid of the judgment of others, because the ones who really care and love you, they are going to be there.
Hello, friends, and thank you again for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard and got value from the podcast, I would love for you to share it with a friend who also wants to start, grow, and scale their solopreneur business or on their own one-person business journey. And if you could like and subscribe, that would be amazing. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.